In today's video, we are going to be comparing chain versus chainless. Yep, you might have seen some similar videos before, but we're working with Suspension Doctor. As you can see, I've got a bit of a special setup on the bike here, and we're looking at some hard data in exactly what is going on with the suspension on the bike. The chain versus chainless saga has been going on for years. We've seen chainless downhill races, Whistler's had its Fat Wednesdays, and we've even seen Aaron Gwin and Nico Mullally have great success when they've managed to lose a chain on a downhill race. But what we've not really looked into is what is exactly going on the bike itself. How does this affect the suspension? Now, we know you get chain growth and we know that you're going to get pedal kickback from the chain, but there's also other factors to take into account. So just consider if your chain breaks and you're on a downhill run, you think what a feat it is to do a good run. Despite how good the suspension's working, you put pressure on the chain the whole time when you're coming out of turns, even if you're not pedaling. You're also not considering that if you accidentally pedal, you're gonna go over the bars. There's lots of different things to consider. The braking, of course, if you over brake when you haven't got a chain on there, you're not gonna regain that speed. That said, if you did the opposite and you under braked going into something, you might carry too much speed and fluff the corner. So the aim of today then really is to see exactly what's going on with the suspension. So we've got a telemetry system on here, courtesy of Suspension Doctor. And really what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a series of runs with a chain, and I'm not gonna be pedaling anywhere, and a series of runs without the chain, but as you can see, removing the cassette and the rear mech off the bike as well. The focus is to find out what is going on with the suspension, certainly from Suspension Doctor's perspective, and mine is to find out what's going on, the way that you ride, the way that you approach the trail, because there's gonna be some different stuff going on and some stuff that's gonna, well, hopefully correlate. Let's get to the bottom of it, shall we? Chain versus chainless. Now this is just to learn the run, which I just got wrong on the first go. So hopefully, all right, I'll see where I'm going this time. Okay, this is it. Okay, I think I might be able to figure out where I'm going for the next run. Okay, another run. Let's, I kind of found my way, but there's definitely two sections where it's super easy to get lost. Let's see what happens. No pedaling now. Come on, give me some backsides. There's one. More no pedaling. Oh no! Doing a snail's pace. Okay, so what we're trying to look for in a video is just how much difference the suspension makes when you're looking at chain versus chainless. Now, obviously you want to take as much weight off the back of the bike as possible, so taking the chain off, taking the rear mech off, and now taking the cassette off, although I've forgotten the chain whip at the hotel, so having to be creative here with how we do it. But it seems to be working, holding the cassette in place, enabling me to undo it. Now I've got to snip these cable ties. Chainless now, super interesting. Removed all unnecessary unsprung mass. Just trying to basically change how the bike feels. No cassette, no chain, no rear derailleur, and trying to consistently run on the same trail. So here we go. Do not overbrake, do not overbrake. Okay, we are on chainless run. So I'll tell you what, that has been a really interesting few days testing. So I spent all afternoon today doing runs on this lower downhill track with no chain on. And to start with, it was terrifying because I was afraid of pedaling. You know, you rely on your pedal tension a lot more than I ever anticipated. So now, at the end of the day testing, I've got the chain back on. And I'm just gonna do a run down and see what difference it makes to the feel of the bike. I mean, it's gonna be noisier, there's gonna be more stuff going on. Let's see how different it feels. Oh my God, actually is a noticeable difference. But I've got to say, I have got more confidence through sections like that. That makes a big difference. It messes with your head doing this sort of riding, it really does. Wow, tell you what, What a difference between the two setups. It's quite unbelievable, actually. Really interesting day out on the mountain there, riding chain and chainless setups. So I started by using a chain, then I went to chainless, and then went back to chain again, so I could kind of verify my thoughts on what was going on. So running the chain on that particular track, there's 3 or 4 sort of choices through rock garden. Nothing crazy going on, but there's definitely a few holes that you can lose speed on if you hit the bigger ones. So I started thinking about how I might approach it with the chain removed from the bike a bit later on. Now, when I removed the chain from the bike, actually it was quite a lot different to what I expected. So I felt quite exposed to start with, because I think subconsciously, without realising it with a chain, I'm probably leaning on that chain quite a lot for support. And as soon as it's not there, you've really got to think about what you're doing with your foot position. I think it's a good thing, because it made me think differently about the way I ride. But the lack of support you get from the chain is a really strange sensation to get your head around. And it really made me wonder how on earth people like Aaron Gwin and Nico Mullally just carried on in their runs without a chain. Like, it's just mind-blowing that they did that. But as I sort of learnt the feeling of the bike, I think a couple of things became clear. I could really hear what the bike was doing, because there's no chain slapping around, no mech or anything. So I could literally hear the level of traction I had on the tyres by the noises they're making on the rock and on the sand and stuff. And it was completely silent, which is just the weirdest feeling when you're riding through rough terrain and the bike's making no noise. You can hear your suspension units like returning as a rebound sort of cycles, and that's literally about it. And then braking. So I didn't want to brake because I didn't want to lose my speed and then be going 0 miles an hour sort of thing. But also I think I probably rode a bit smarter. So there's a few particular things. There's a gully that was really bothering me, because as I drop into the gully at the end of it, I was losing speed by sliding. But I don't think I even considered it with the chain on. But with the chain off, I was braking going into it, probably going through it quite a bit slower, but then maintaining my speed and rolling out quicker, and looking down the trail further. So I think I rode, at least in my head, I rode a lot differently to what I think I would with the chain. And then jumping back with a chain at the end, I think I rode the trail better for it. I think it sort of taught me a few things about my riding, looking further ahead than I ever had, and learning to really sort of coax speed from the terrain. I'd love to know what was actually going on with the suspension, because it felt great both ways, to be fair, but there was definitely something going on. I felt like the bike felt more active, or I was using more travel. I don't know.
Pretty much what you've just said, yeah. So over, it was like a 2-minute track.
Yep.
We were looking at 38 metres of total vertical travel. That's like compression and rebound, so that's how much your axle's moved up and down.
Okay, well, through the whole track, so 38 metres worth of travel.
So
that's cool.
Your axle moved 38 metres. The chainless was consistently about a metre more movement, so a metre more
a whole
active.
metre more travel over the duration of track.
Over compression and rebound, so it was quite a lot. I didn't expect it to be that much, to be honest.
Considering how short the track is, that's a lot of additional. So essentially, it's helping me use my travel more effectively on the bike.
Yeah. So your compression speeds are slightly up, average. Your max compression speeds are slightly up. Your max rebound speeds are up. Your average rebound speeds are up slightly. Yep. So it's just that little bit more active over the terrain. It kind of verifies what I thought about the bike being more active. Quite surprised by the fact you use like a metre more suspension travel over the length of the track. We've probably got some stats to see how long the actual track is. I haven't measured it, but yeah, around 2 minutes, I think we said. There's about one consistently between 154, 153.
Okay.
I think fastest to slowest was about 2 seconds difference. So it was pretty consistent. That was chain and chainless. They were all pretty consistent.
So basically the suspension is definitely working differently and working a little bit better. But I wonder, because obviously the suspension designers of various different bikes, they build in an amount of, I don't know, like anti-squat and stuff like that to make a bike handle away. I didn't see a negative response to the way the bike was riding with the chain. It felt great, but it was just a little bit different without the chain.
Yeah, so, there wasn't a huge difference on over that sort of 38 metres.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I think I was riding probably better on the bike with no chain, but I think I preferred riding the bike with the chain, because I like to lean on the chain tension. I think you do need that.
Braking was very interesting as well. So the total braking over the runs was consistently the same.
Okay.
On the front, and it was you were 10 seconds consistently, 10 seconds less on the rear brake. Were chainless, so you weren't dragging.
You were so I'm conscious of
you're conscious of not dragging and carrying speed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've been wary of over braking and you keep off that back brake to carry speed.
God, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said I was probably braking
More.
Yeah.
So you're probably braking more effectively, like braking harder when you were going faster and then getting off the brakes to carry that speed through.
Yeah.
And we measured single brake events as well.
Okay.
So it tells you the longest single brake event.
Yep.
And on every run, you were on average 2 seconds less, like consistently 2 seconds less on the front brake and 4 seconds less on the rear on a longest brake. So you must have had a kind of a fast section where you were braking heavy, but on the chainless you were braking later, probably heavier to slow down and carrying more speed.
Carrying speed, yeah.
And you actually had consistently higher max speeds with chainless as well.
With chainless?
So you were obviously coming out of somewhere and carrying more speed down the fastest point. And that's probably where you
I would not have said that.
It's quite interesting to find out, yeah. I thought there would have been, like longer on the brakes and a bit more cautious.
I'm quite surprised I don't really have a response for that. Yeah, that's really cool. But I guess still though, the point is it's quite a subtle difference on this bike between the two. But it makes me really interested in what it's like on a bike that's got either loads of kickback or a big travel bike. Yeah. So you think those downhill bikes, it must make a massive difference with the amount of movement they have. Fascinating stuff. So we know that the chainless bike technically made me ride a bit better and arguably a bit quicker, in theory, which I didn't see that one coming actually, given how much I like the bike as it is. And I would still ride it as it is, but I've got to say, I'm probably going to ride chainless again here and there for the fun. I think it's definitely something to experiment with. I need to find a bike now that's got loads of kickback on it so I can try the same experiment again just to see just how different it is on the trail. But is anyone out there ridden chainless? I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I've been fascinated by some of this information and quite surprised. Great stuff. That's pretty much a summary, I think. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Let us know what you think in the comments underneath and see what other trailside experiments you want us to do here on Tech. More than happy to go and see Suspension Doctor anytime now. Now I've worked with him to figure this stuff out. It's so cool, all this information. We'll see you in the next video.